What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. We're doing a very quick review of last night's AEW Dynamite from April 27th, and it was probably one of the better Dynamites over the past couple weeks for me. We'll get into it in this video. Of course, I want to remind you guys before we get into that this is YouTube, and YouTube loves its like button. So if you want to help out the channel, hit the like button. If you like what I say, hit the like button. Even if you don't like what I say, hit the like button, and it helps other people know about this video and know that we review, I should say, AEW Dynamite on this channel. So thank you very much. It definitely helps. So coming into this night, there were a couple of matches that were announced over the course of the last week that really did pique my interest. Of course, the very first one, which was FTR going up against each other for the Owen Hart Foundation qualifying match for that tournament. So Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood put on an old school wrestling match that would have made Jim Cornette happy. I'm not going to look because I don't listen to him anymore, but it seems like the type of match that him and JR and people like that would love and would absolutely enjoy. And it was a great old school match, very well done, shows that style still works in this day and age. I don't know if you want an entire card of that, but to have matches, 2 or 3 matches like this during the night is absolutely fantastic. Now, what we have at the end of the day, however, is a little bit of controversy between the two partners. I don't know if they're spinning this out into another story or not, but it was Dax that picked up the win after having a consideration of going after his partner's leg. Yeah, he could have put on a sharpshooter, didn't, and then there was a bunch of reversals and everything else. There were a lot of callbacks to a lot of Bret Hart matches, even though there's some rumors that Bret Hart is not going to be, and they're just rumors, by the way, that Bret Hart is not going to be joining up with FTR and AEW anytime soon. But that was pretty cool, and CM Punk was on commentary, so he was able to offer his insights into the match, him also modeling himself after Bret Hart recently. So good all around. I thought this was pretty cool. We then get into the Blackpool Combat Club, who has an amazing t-shirt that I might actually buy that one. I don't buy a lot of wrestling t-shirts. I might actually buy the Blackpool Combat Club one, but Bryan Danielson, Wheeler Yuta, and Jon Moxley take on QT Marshall, Nick Comoroto, and Aaron Solo. And this was a homecoming for Wheeler Yuta. You know, he's in Pennsylvania. He's in his hometown crowd, so he gets a big pop coming out. He showed himself that he is pretty much in line with these guys so far. He's the young buck, pun intended, amongst Danielson and Moxley. You got William Regal on commentary offering his expertise. So this, of course, it does wind up with another beatdown by the This is such a unique idea for a faction, and I really like the fact that it's just 3 guys now that just like beating the crap out of other people and proving how much better they are at fighting than everybody else. And Wheeler Yuta is really coming into his own as this one. He's really getting a pop, obviously, in his hometown. He gets the pin at the end. I think they call it the seatbelt, that move that he used at the end to get the pin. That was pretty cool. And once again, AEW making stars, man. You know, Wheeler Yuta very quietly climbing up the ranks of one of the favorite people to watch in AEW. AEW's been doing a fantastic job of this over the last couple of years, so it's pretty cool. There was an interesting promo with Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Christian Cage, and Jungle Boy was a little down about losing the match last week for the Owen Hart qualifying tournament. Christian Cage just said he looked like a loser, and people kind of oohed about that. I think that's hinting at what we've all been expecting for over a year now, that eventually Christian Cage is going to turn on Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, particular Jungle Boy, but we're not quite there yet. They get challenged by Team Taz at the end of it, and that's setting up a match in the future, and then Luchasaurus growls. I think they need to get rid of that. I think it was funny the first 2 times they did it, but Luchasaurus is I think the fact that he actually is a really smart person and he can talk, I think is kind of shortchanged by them just going with the gimmick of him being a dinosaur. But, we'll see how that goes. That's just my personal preference. Lance Archer took on Wardlow in the Battle of the Hosses. I do notice that hoss matches in AEW do not go over as well as they do in other promotions. Or is it maybe that Lance Archer... Nobody thought Lance Archer was winning this match. And that's the unfortunate thing about Archer. He is a guy who feels like he should be a bigger star than he is. But a lot of the booking that they've done with him, which I can't argue with him losing to the people he's lost to in AEW. At the same time, though, it doesn't make him as much of a threat. He's this big, powerful guy, but he just can't seem to put it together. Archer, of course, was hired by MJF, who was up with Shawn Spears in a exclusive box watching this match. Wardlow showed a lot of flexibility in this match. He was pulling out some Hurricanranas and some high-flying moves that we did not expect of him, but man, we know what's coming up. The Powerbomb Symphony on Lance Archer, not only is Lance Archer huge as far as weight, but he's really tall, so it's pretty impressive that Wardlow could pick him up for 4 powerbombs and got the win. The people love Wardlow. They're loving his story. I am seeing a bit of repetition. I think other people are noticing this too with the MJF storylines. Is he did it with Jericho, he did it with Punk. He always makes his opponents go through like the trials. They've got to go through like 4 or 5 other guys in order to get to MJF. Now, after the match, MJF had cut a promo backstage where he said he was going to call in somebody who was smarter, taller, and bigger than Wardlow, and you can't teach that. So we obviously know who they're hinting at. Big Cass, or the artist formerly known as Big Cass in NXT, will probably be showing up next week, where I will be at the Dynamite in Baltimore to take on Wardlow next week, which should be pretty cool. Serena, Deeb, and Hikaru Shida got in the Philly street fight. I think that this feud is one of my favorite feuds as far as a pure wrestling feud. It's not like a really super hype feud, and it's not a bad feud. It's just solid wrestling feud. Old school, the way I like it. I suggested and threw out about a year ago or so that they should have a best of 7 series. They kind of are, because this is their 5th match. They were tied 2-2 in their matches against each other. Deeb does get this one, which there's some pretty nasty spots in here. Some pretty nasty chair shots, kendo spots. The selling is great, although I think a lot of it's them actually getting hurt doing this stuff. But Deeb does get the win in the end. Right now, it looks like she's going to be lined up for a challenger, the next challenger for Thunder Rosa's championship, as Thunder Rosa was watching on afterward. And it was the right thing. Hikaru Shida, I think the hope for some of us fans is that she goes on to a feud she can win now. And then eventually she goes on and becomes a challenger for the TNT title against Jade Cargill. And as a legitimate challenger, Jade has not had a legitimate challenger. I think Hikaru Shida would be a good one. So, and I think the good thing about this feud is it's setting up both women, regardless of who won or lost. Both women are primed now to go after title runs. Although, again, I think Shida needs to get a short feud that lasts maybe a month or two against somebody else, maybe the Bunny or Ty, who knows it is. Somebody in the middle card of the AEW's women's rankings and get a solid win in a feud, and then she can climb back up. I think that's pretty cool. House of Black show up. House of Black then fall for this, which we all kind of saw coming out. Marvez was supposed to be pretending, not Marvez. Alex is pretending that he's in his hood in the ring. They laid the House of Black laid out Fuego del Sol because he didn't mind his business, which is bad for him. But then all of them go to the ring, and I kind of figured it out once we saw that we couldn't see Alex's face. Abernathy's was not really there. He was on a microphone. Out on a ramp comes Penta and Pac and Alex, which leaves the return of Rey Fenix, and this was pretty cool. I really enjoyed this. Rey Fenix out from injury, back now, and now we've got a proper feud now between Death Triangle and the House of Black, which hopefully that match with some kind of interesting stipulation, maybe an elimination match, comes up at Double or Nothing. By the way, after the first match of the night, because Hangman Page has COVID right now, he was not on Dynamite this week, the AEW champion, but Punk filled in, and the announcement was made that CM Punk will be taking on Hangman Page, as we all expected, at Double or Nothing for the AEW World Championship. Punk cut a promo, interestingly enough, going around the ringside area with the fans behind him, which is a new spin on that in-ring promo. He did an out-of-the-ring promo. I actually kind of like the aesthetic of it. It looked pretty cool. We also get the announcement that Swerve will be taking on Darby this Friday in an Owen Hart Foundation qualifier match. Now, I think this Friday's Dynamite, if I'm not mistaken, is live. I'm not sure. It might be live. But, we'll see with that one. That's a match I'm definitely interested in. Swerve, however, needs a big win. I don't know if he's going to get the win over Darby in this one, but I think it's about time Swerve gets a win because he's been losing a lot on these shows. A big 10-man tag, Adam Cole, Bay, along with Red Dragon and the Young Bucks, the Undisputed Elite, took on Brock Anderson, the Varsity Blondes, Lee Johnson, and Dante Martin. Now, it is to be noted that the valet, Miss Hart from the Varsity Blondes, they constantly show her at the beginning, and they've been doing this for several weeks now, after the whole thing with the House of Black and her getting the black mist in her eyes. She's just been sitting, moping on the steps. They haven't paid this off yet, but they keep showing it, and they keep having her go out there, do that week after week. I guess the payoff's going to come down the road with what comes with this. But this was basically a squash match for the Undisputed Elite, who did squash their opponents here. Pretty cool. Cole lowers the boom. They get a BTE full-on trigger. And afterwards, the shirts were there. The Young Bucks accept the shirts. The Undisputed Elite shirts are there. This is hinting to me that something is coming down the line now, whether this ties into Bullet Club, whether it is for the Forbidden Door show, whether this ties into the return of Kenny Omega, which I still think is a ways off, because last I heard he still needed another surgery, so he's not going to be coming back anytime soon, as far as wrestling is concerned. But we'll see how that works out. A very crazy promo in the ring between Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz against the Jericho Appreciation Society, who are really taking the sports. They are mocking the living F out of the whole premise of Vince McMahon's sports entertainment. For 7 weeks, the undisputed leader in sports entertainment, which is an old, for those of you who might not recognize what that's from, that is an old tagline from back in the old WWF days during the New Generation era, where at the beginning of the shows, that's what WWF's tag was. The recognized leader in sports entertainment for over 30 years, And then they did one, they called it the AEW Galaxy as a play on the WWE Universe, which I have talked about for the longest time. The WWE Universe, the whole concept of it is a marketing gimmick. It's also a little cultish, because that's what kind of cults kind of do to get their followers to, hey, I'm part of you now. You're part of us, and we're this big thing, and you need to be part of us, and everybody outside is bad. And that's kind of the effect it has, and we've seen it on social media and in the wrestling world. But here, the Jericho Appreciation Society completely mocking it. That wasn't even the best part of it. I want AEW Galaxy to trend. Santana, Ortiz, and Kingston come out there, and they give a nice, interesting promo. They're doing the old WWE thing of the table in the ring, and they're mocking the whole cliche of that whole thing, which is it's been overdone. It's way overdone. Kingston's like, he doesn't have anything to do with it, and then Jericho makes a mistake of saying that he's put a wrestling hit out on the three of them. Kingston, Santana, Ortiz, and this just sends Eddie Kingston into overdrive. He gets all in Jericho's face. He's like, where I come from, when you call it a hit, that doesn't, no. You said a hit. You said a hit. That means something else where I come from. And then he kind of sort of admitted that him, Santana, and Ortiz had committed murder in the past.
I can smell it. When you say a hit in our world, you gotta be prepared to put someone in the ground. Guess what, Chris? We've done it before.
We're going to ignore that, but he scared the living crap out. It was a great promo. Jericho was left stunned in his chair, just like looking like, oh crap, maybe I went too far with this stuff. I want to see where this goes. And I want to see if they add anybody to Santana, Ortiz, and Kingston. You think they would. I just can't figure out who it would be that would join up with them if they're going to do either a Stadium Stampede match or a Blood and Guts a Blood and Guts War Games type of match with this faction. But this feels pretty cool. I'm enjoying the juxtaposition of this. Now afterwards, they then do funny enough, the sports entertainers do an old school pro wrestling gimmick by throwing a fireball, which is a Southern wrestling staple from the 70s and the 80s. They threw a fireball in Eddie Kingston's face, so things are going to get even more intense with this rivalry. In the main event, we had the ladder match for the TNT Championship. Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti being as disgusting as they possibly can against Scorpio Sky. It's so funny how the flip happened here. It's not quite Austin Bret Hart, but it is the same kind of thing where the Men of the Year and Dan Lambert were heels coming into this whole feud, and Sammy Guevara was a face with Tay Conti, and then solely because of the antics of Tay Conti and Sammy Guevara, they have flipped positions now as far as heel and face. This is one of the best ladder matches I've seen this year. This was great. Lots of very well worked out spots. The ladies got involved. Lambert got involved. Some crazy landings here. Scorpio Sky pulls out a barbed wire wrapped up ladder, which I'm glad they've gotten away from the thumbtacks at least for a few weeks, because they kind of overdid it with the thumbtacks. But this came out. Lambert got punted in the nuts. The girls are climbing up on the backs of the guys, trying to prevent them from climbing the ladder. There is a sick leapfrog spot earlier in the match. Scorpio Sky is going up for the belt on one ladder. Sammy Guevara positions the other ladder. The leapfrog off the top rope onto the top of the second ladder at Scorpio Sky, who the timing was perfect. Sky cut him with a cutter, the TKO in midair. That thing was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful, man. These two, you kind of knew you were going to get that, because these two guys are the two guys you want in a ladder match, Scorpio Sky and Sammy Guevara. And they made you think at one point that the match was going to end when Guevara crashed and burned on the barbed wire wrap ladder and Scorpio Sky was climbing up. I was like, all right, he's going to win. And then as soon as I saw Guevara hop off the top rope and back, I was like, oh no, they're going to have Guevara steal the win. But it was a misdirect. Scorpio Sky does knock off Guevara again and does climb up. And as I kind of suspected they might do after Scorpio Sky lost the title, Scorpio Sky pulls down the belt and is now a two-time TNT champion, a much bigger win than the first time he won a title, a much more impactful win, one that we're not going to forget. And I think this is, again, elevated Scorpio Sky up to another level. Sammy had some problems during the match. The doctors did have to legitimately come in and look at him during the match, because he might have been. That's the danger with guys like this doing those matches. Sammy's still young, so his body's still made of rubber, so he can do this stuff. I don't know if Scorpio Sky should be doing too many more of these. But after the match, we get Frankie Kazarian coming out, because last week they had established that if Scorpio Sky won the match and won the title, that he would give Kazarian a shot. Lambert didn't look too pleased with it. Ethan Page came out. They all celebrated with Scorpio Sky, so there might be something here, because it's going to be very hard to get Lambert over as a face, even though the stuff he pulls, on the side he's on when he's criticizing people like Cody, when Cody was still in AEW, and Sammy, for legitimate things that fans are legitimately not happy with those characters about. You can kind of cheer him, but he's still a heel. He's still supposed to be like a modern day Bobby Heenan, but I don't know if this is going to lead to a split of Scorpio Sky, a reunification with SCU. I think that's going to be a long-term storyline, but there's a lot you can do with Scorpio Sky now, and even possibly some jealousy with Ethan Page. There's so many ways they can go about it, but I'm now interested in seeing an actual storyline with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page that I actually care about, since the feud they had with Sting and Darby Allin a while ago. So overall, pretty damn good episode of AEW Dynamite. I want to know what you guys thought about it. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. As I mentioned before too, don't expect too much stuff about the Forbidden Door pay-per-view coming up. Remember, they're leading into Double or Nothing, and next week I'll be in Baltimore at the Dynamite show live, so I'll be able to see it live, and I will probably give a report afterwards. It's going to be a lot of fun. As we're on the road officially now to Double or Nothing, the main event has been announced. The Owen Hart tournament is going to be in full swing coming next week. So a lot of things are going to be moving with AEW, and it looks like they're setting up a bunch of good storylines with the House of Black and the Death Triangle, with the whole thing with the Jericho Appreciation Society against Santana Ortiz and Eddie Kingston, Wardlow and MJF, Punk and Hangman, whatever's going on with the Undisputed Elite. They got a lot of cool, and now Scorpio Sky and the whole division around the TNT Championship. Keep in mind, Miro should be making his way back at some point in the near future. So a lot of things coming up for AEW. Very exciting. I'm excited for it. And so, as I can see from social media, are most of the AEW fans. Until next time, if you guys, again, like this video, hit the like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the future for more news, rumors, and commentary right here on the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.